Hey, before we get started on this final episode of Cowboy Bebop, I just wanted to let you guys know that next week we're not going to be starting a new show quite just yet, because basically I'm not recording the next week I would record. I'm not recording because that's going to be the week of Thanksgiving, and I'm taking the week off. So we will be back in 2 weeks for Season 1, Episode 1 of Demon Slayer. So just wanted to give you guys a little heads up on that. Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Cowboy Bebop. Last time on Cowboy Bebop, we had The Real Folk Blues Part 1, where basically Vicious was trying to take over the syndicate, but he failed for a moment, and then the elders were going to kill anybody who's ever been associated with Vicious, which meant also tracking down Spike and Julia. However, Vicious was able to take control of the situation and kill the elders, but he did give Julia the mission to kill Spike. She met up with Faye. Faye took the message to Spike. Spike went to the graveyard and found Julia, and she pulled a gun on him. So yeah, and I was also wrong about Faye just being gone, but she had her closure. Now she's back for one last ride, basically, and now we got to see what kind of closure are we going to get for Spike. I think that's the order of the day today. But yeah, this is the final episode of Cowboy Bebop. Isn't that crazy? Man, it feels so quick, you know? It feels so quick. And honestly, that's just because this has honestly been shorter than most shows that I do. This is 26 episodes plus a movie, you know? But yeah, so I'm very curious how this is all going to wrap up. But yeah, like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into the final episode of Cowboy Bebop. Here we go. Alrighty, that's it. That's just it. Like, geez, that's it. He's dead. That's it. He's dead, and I mean it's what I said. It's the Gankutsuo ending. Last episode we were talking about, you know, how this was going to wrap up. You know, would this be like the Count of Monte Cristo or something? And I knew it wasn't going to be like the movies, because the movies always have Edmund get back with Mercedes at the end, and that is not right. That is not right. That goes against the ending of the book, and kind of what I think is the message of the book. That said, they did not go the book ending either. They did not do, in this, they did not go for a sort of book ending where it's like, well, Spike just goes off. He's not the man he was. He's something else, you know? He's something else. They instead opted for, I mean, it's a bit of that, but it's also, yeah, he's dead. He's dead. But you want to talk about closure. There it is. He got that closure. He found Julia the final time, and then he went and he killed Vicious. And that's it. That is it. That is the end of Cowboy Bebop. Is Spike is dead. But only on his death did he realize that he was truly alive. So, well, that was interesting. That was certainly something. Okay, you know, with everything with Vicious and Spike, this whole story that they've been building throughout the show, as well as, you know, the other characters, I guess, dilemmas that are, you know, resolved at the end. Yes, you know, Ed and Ein, I guess, get closure. They didn't really need closure, but they found their place. Faye, yes, you could argue maybe she backtracks a bit, but she's hesitant about it. You know, she just got it. It's okay to be a bit hesitant going into getting that sort of closure. Jeez, the heater just turned on, so it's starting to get a little warm in here. Anyway, but yeah, so Jet, I mean, I would argue Jet did get his closure. Jet did get his closure in with the whole thing with his girlfriend and the thing with his partner, So I would say that he definitely got that too. But yeah, so there's that. There's that, and now Spike has gotten that, and with that, I can see why this is high up on top anime lists, Because going into this, I knew that this was one of, what people consider to be one of the greatest anime of all time, And, I generally, when I see, lists of the top anime of all time, it's either this or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And I find both to be very interesting. But one thing I will say for both of them, I think maybe slightly part of the reason why they're so high up, there's never a bad moment, And while there are great moments, I don't know, there's something about these two shows where I'm like, okay, these? Really? Because I can see a lot of people saying something like Attack on Titan being the greatest anime. I see that. I don't agree with that, but I can see people saying that because there are a lot of big, hype, excellent moments in that. But yeah, and when I look at this, I'm like, okay, what are we doing here, What are we doing here, Because I watch a lot of these episodes, I'm like, this is the greatest anime of all time? Again, it's not bad. I'm just sort of watching, man, to hold this in such high regard, but I get what it is now. What elevates this, I guess honestly what elevates it is the characters. It's not really about the stories they get in, and the stories are fun. And a lot of times, I was saying, my favorite episodes are the one where it's just the 5 of them and there's something stupid happening, anytime there's something dumb happening, or I pulled the episodes back up, so I'm looking at them all now, Cowboy Andy, the demonic Joker penguin clown guy that tried to kill Spike, the Betamax episode, which turned out to be kind of heavy at the end when they realized it was a tape about Faye, which I love. There's never an answer on that. Who sent the tape to her? But that was just, learning about Faye's backstory and stuff was also in a really funny episode. So, or the chess guy, or just the first episode with Edward was really funny, or the one where there's the parasitic fungus on the ship, there are a lot of stupid episodes that are honestly, those are kind of my favorites. But yeah, because I guess that's it, is that all the episodes are good. And some of the episodes are also great. There's never a bad episode. There's never a bad moment. There's never a dull moment. And honestly, I think that's part of it, Because I look at stuff like okay, getting off of Attack on Titan, if you go to My Hero Academia, there are story arcs that are better than others, Some of the story arcs are better than others. They're not necessarily bad. The same can be said with Death Note. Towards the middle of Death Note, it kind of goes down just a little bit, but Cowboy Bebop never seems to have that, and I wonder if that's part of it. It's one of the best because there's never a bad or low moment, I don't know. But then it's just, I guess it's the characters, and how they each interact with certain things where, some of them, They want to know their past. They don't want to know their past. They know their past. They're trying to get over their past. They're trying to run away from their past. They're trying to confront their past. All of this stuff. And it is always about their past. And seeing how that resolves with these episodes, where Faye finally finds, her memories come back. She's got everything she ever wanted. And it does provide some closure. Now, granted, yes, she's not exactly the way she used to be. And I think that's part of why, she sort of snaps at Spike here. Because, yeah, while she did get everything she wanted, she's still Faye Valentine. She's still the Faye Valentine that, we've seen throughout this show. And that can kind of conflict with that. And it is in her nature that she has garnered these past couple years that, can she stick around, and she's having to deal with that, but then you get the stuff with Jet confronting his past, his girlfriend who just left, just 100% left, and he had to confront why did she do that. And then his partner, the reason he lost his arm, he had to confront a lot of this, and then he has to, even though he thinks he's past that, I mean, it was basically, for Jet, it was, okay, this is what happened, this is why it happened, okay, I'm out of here. I am out of here. And he's looking at Faye and Spike and being like, you need to get out of there. You can't do this. Like, yes, I did confront my past, I saw what happened, and I'm done. It's over, And he wants that for Spike. But Spike, his past always haunts him. His past will come back to haunt him, literally, because it's already happened before. That's probably the other, obviously better thing with Spike's story, is that this has been happening throughout pretty much the whole show. You get flashes of it. You get flashes of it in the first episode. Episode 5, Ballad of Fallen Angels, immediately. Episode 5, they had just recently, actually no, just the previous episode, Faye was brought on. They haven't even met Edward yet, but episode 5, immediately we're dealing with Vicious, 12 and 13 is Vicious again on Mars with, or on Jupiter, excuse me. It's obviously Jupiter. It's called Jupiter Jazz, for God's sake. But that with Gren, and then that finally making its way all the way through to the Real Folk Blues, where, yeah, because Vicious is still out there, it has to result in one of them taking down the other, Because Spike cannot be free so long as Vicious exists, Because Vicious is he's a force of nature, And he did win. He won, he set Vicious free, and in the same way, exactly how Vicious said, he set Spike free, because he killed him, And honestly, it does make sense that if you're going to do that, that it would be, the both of them killing each other, And I mean, just to enforce the whole thing of, Spike's demons coming back to haunt him, that's exactly what Faye says, when it's like, all right, so what was Julia like? Either she's an angel from the underworld or a demon from paradise, Either way, it's bad news, Because Spike, who knows? Spike could have probably just gone on, He had already gone on long enough. He could have this could have just kept going, where it's him and Jet, they track down some bounties, they do this and that, Maybe they end up dying in search of a bounty, but that's it, But it's that past that comes back to grab him, Man, alright, so, yeah, for a little while, I will say, because even with the stuff with Vicious in Ballad of Fallen Angels and Jupiter Jazz, I was like, okay, I see what we're going for here, But at the same time, I was like, it's still interesting that this is one of the top anime, you know? But I do understand it. Now, do I think it's the top anime? I mean, I don't really think I'm an authority on that because my anime knowledge is very limited. You know, when I was growing up, anime was Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. That was pretty much it. You know, it's only more recently that I've gotten into more and more anime. You know, everything I've done here on the channel, but I also, because I've referenced the Count of Monte Cristo anime, which is a great anime. You should go watch it if you haven't seen it. Even if you don't know the Count of Monte Cristo book, watch the show. It's the closest adaptation to the book, honestly. And then go read the book, because the book is excellent. But that's beside the point. Anyway. But yeah, so, you know, I've seen stuff like that, and pretty much, like, most of what you see here on the channel that I've reacted to is a lot of my extent of anime knowledge, you know? Like, I'm only recently getting into other stuff, like, I'm watching Spy Family on my own, I'm watching Code Geass on my own, and I'm really enjoying those, you know? And with Cowboy Bebop ending, I'm working on coming up with a new series to take over from that, which again we'll come back to in 2 weeks. And with Full Metal ending, I'm thinking like, okay, what? I'm like looking around. I'm like, I don't know, what are some like big anime or just important anime that I feel like I should watch and I honestly feel like I should react to. And one of those, like one of the big ones that I've also considered is like Evangelion, you know, because that's like one of the big, I don't know if that's, you know, in the top 5 or anything like that, but that's one that you like always hear about, you know? So I'm like, well, maybe I should educate myself. And that's kind of what I want to do with a lot of the anime reactions, you know, because show reactions, the normal live action show reactions they're me kind of just having fun, you know? Doctor Who, while yes, I was sort of educating myself, and I'm still doing that, going through the classic era, it's also just me having fun for a lot of that. Or Prison Break, or, like, maybe the biggest thing close to that was when I reacted to Breaking Bad, and I'm currently going through Better Call Saul. That's one of those, like, okay, this is one of the big shows, I should watch it and see what it is, but I can't think of other big shows that I should do. Whereas anime, there's a part of me that almost wishes I could just do anime, you know? Because anime I kind of have the most fun with. And not just because episodes are shorter, but anime I kind of have the most fun with. But becoming just a solely anime reaction channel, I don't think that's going to bring in a lot of views. So, especially with the way that I do it. I know other channels put the footage in the actual reactions, but I'm not brave enough for that. I can just hear the lawyers, the Japanese lawyers coming my way if I do that, so. But anyway, for this, I get it. Now, Full Metal is another story, but maybe we'll talk about that when we finish off Full Metal. But this, okay, I can see why this is one of the top anime. And I think it's especially for the characters, you know? It's especially for the characters less than the story. Because the story, the most continuing story we have is Faye discovering her past and Spike confronting his past, you know? Like, those are the two stories, but they are, honestly, they're kind of few and far between, you know? Because, again, we had episode 5, we had 12 and 13, and then 25 and 26 about Spike's past. That's 4 episodes out of 26 plus a movie. But the movie came later, I know. For Faye, it's not until episode 15 that we get anything. You know, it's episode 15 that we get her backstory. Episode 18 that we get her with the tape. And then episode 24, when we get her, you know, finally sort of getting that closure about her past. That's only 3 episodes. So in total, 7 episodes of 26 are what I would describe as plot related. But even still, those are separate storylines and not really, like, they're connected in the fact that the two of them, they're on the same ship, but it's never, I don't know, I wouldn't really say that there is a plot to Cowboy Bebop. There are stories to Cowboy Bebop. There are very interesting characters and how, what happens in their lives, or in this facet of their lives. Not even in their lives, but this just portion of their lives. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but I can see, and I can especially see, just off of these episodes, I can see how there would be, 12-hour video essays about all of this, like, especially with their backstories. And I can even see other episodes where it's like, oh, here's just this stupid little thing, and then, oh, but here's how you do it and stuff. Here's how it's actually super important and stuff. I can see all that, so I get it. Other stuff this episode to wrap us out, because, yeah, we are kind of getting up there on time, and I guess I haven't really talked too many specifics about this episode. I've just been sort of taking a grander picture with this and, just the rest of the show. But yeah, so yeah, we had the death of Annie as well, which that sucked. And yeah, for a character who was only really in, was it only episode 5 or? I guess she wasn't in Jupiter Jazz, was she? But yeah, I fully remembered her. But I mean, even still, that was sad. We had the whole thing of it's seeming like Jet pushing Spike away. It's like, oh, you told him to go after her and stuff, and it's like, well, yeah, he's trouble. He has to get out. But yeah, but I mean, in the end. Jet will always have a bowl full of shit for him to eat, So I like that. And then we also had the talk about, Spike's eyes, which they finally, I look into his eyes and I see the difference. I see the difference that one is a bit more colorful, a lot brighter than his other eye, But I like how he says that it's like, well, I've got one eye looking at the past and one eye looking at the present, It's like he's stuck. He's half and half. He never got that closure, basically. And, Faye is like, well, no, you should just leave it all behind. And it's like, well, Faye, but you got your closure. Now it's his turn. Even if she doesn't stay on Earth, even if she goes off and keeps gambling on horses forever, she still has the closure of her memories returning, And Spike needed that too. He needed that too, and he did. And he went and faced Vicious one last time. And yeah, it's exactly as they said, is that they both were able to free each other by killing them, But Spike killed him first. And yeah, at the end there, you can just... He walks down, and yeah, because it was, whoever wins becomes the new leader of the syndicate, but they're both dead, But Spike stayed up long enough for one last bang, and then, yeah, star went out. But in the end, he got his closure. The man got his closure, and you can't fault him for that. So yeah, really, really great stuff. Overall, I've really enjoyed Cowboy Bebop. It was a little, I never disliked it. I never got bored. There was never a dull moment. I always enjoyed watching Cowboy Bebop. But for a little while, I was kind of sitting here like, okay, what are we doing here? This is one of the greatest anime of all time. Well, it's enjoyable, but I would think that there would be so many people that would be like, oh, you gotta find the symbolism of all this It's like, maybe because, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, so if this is one of the greatest anime of all time, what is considered one of the greatest movies of all time is Citizen Kane. And I've never seen Citizen Kane, but I'm pretty sure a lot of Citizen Kane boils down to, you have to find me. It's not just you watch the movie and it's like, oh, okay, that was a fun movie. It's like, oh, well, there's so much this hidden meaning and all that sort of stuff, that Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing. That's The Shining, but that's beside the point. But yeah, so I was like, okay, so I assumed that would be the reason, that would be the case for one of the top anime of all time. And while I can see that, a lot of it, I will say, is just fun. There's just some fun, dumb episodes with some good characters, And so I honestly appreciate that, I honestly appreciate that, because especially now, I mean, there are times I watch some of these anime, like Attack on Titan and My Hero right now, they're kind of like, okay, I get, you've earned this time that you can do all this heavy stuff. God, I miss the simpler times. And you're supposed to feel like that. You're supposed to be like, well, I miss the simpler times when we could just have a good, fun episode, But so much of MHA and Attack on Titan is like that now, And I like how, while yes, this was heavy, this two-part finale was heavy, there was so much fun stuff in Cowboy Bebop, and I desperately appreciate that, because you know what I'm not looking forward to watching next year? The end of Attack on Titan, because it's going to be depressing, and I already hate Eren anyway, and it's like, and I look back on old episodes of Attack on Titan, and I'm like, God, some of this shit was fucking fun. And then you get to the end of season 3, and it's like, oh, well, that's gone, So I desperately appreciate. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's part of the reason why this has escalated so high is that yes, you get your serious moments, you get your serious, character-driven episodes that are so big and impactful and meaningful and everything, but you also get an episode where there's a ridiculous cowboy, or, a killer clown from outer space, or they're tracking down a Betamax player, or, they're helping this trucker girl, trucker woman, or, there's this fungus parasite thing that is attacking everybody on the ship until Ed just eats it, Here's Ed, this ridiculous character, Even the movie is kind of like that, where it's like, well, yes, this is, there are some serious things in this movie, but it's also, we're trying to save the world on Halloween, and that's fun, So I desperately appreciate that about this show. And it's something I honestly miss about a couple anime that I'm watching, namely Attack on Titan and My Hero, where it's just like, okay, here's some more, heavy shit. And you're allowed your heavy shit, but when it's constantly heavy shit, oh, that hits me. But this I really enjoyed. I really, really enjoyed this. What did you think of Cowboy Bebop? Is this one of your top anime of all time? I don't even know where I would place this. I'd have to figure out all the anime I've ever watched in order to place this somewhere. But overall, I really, really like Cowboy Bebop. And yeah, that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys again in 2 weeks for our next show. See you guys there. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of my Cowboy Bebop reactions if you want to go rewatch the whole lot of them, or another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.